Plan Marcus, Dennis, Sat. How's your trades going?
Trades are good. I'm really trying to get more Bob's and Vagine in my DMs, but it might come. It might actually come.
It's
We'll
not
see
bull
how that
market
goes.
yet. It's
Not
not.
it's not technically it's not bull market. It's bull market when we're at 58K, and that's when everyone will probably come back.
I thought we're always at 58K.
Yeah, but I got to convince everyone else that we are, but you know how it is.
Yes, yeah, it's a tough one. It is a tough. The 58K gang, we get hated when it goes 1 to $11,000 more than 58K, but then they forget us and they hate us when it goes below 58K. Well, what's that about? Marcus, how's your trade going, man? How's it going over there?
Yeah, it's going over. It's going great, man. I'm just here thinking, like a lot of people, at least the noobs, which we aim at, like they have no idea, like what is 58K? Why is that such a significant number? So we're gonna have to dive into that and figure out, like what's the origin there. I remember making a meme which was about this cartoon saying like it never ends. I used like this cartoon over the hedge, and I put in 59K at the time, and then like, I thought of changing the meme to 58K because I guess you guys pinned it at 58K, like that threshold where we were at forever. But yeah, welcome, Dennis. Look forward to getting into it with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Before we get started, just wanted to welcome everybody into Bitcoiners Guide. This is the show that we wish we would have had when we first started learning about Bitcoin. So we made it for you. We're your host, Big Sean Harris, Plan Marcus. We're joined today by Mr. 58K himself, the big penis, the big. He has the best charts in Bitcoin. You want TA, you want a big dildo on your TA chart, you come to Dennis, and that's what you get, right? You want to hear lagging indicators, go follow all the macro guys. You want to hear the real indicators that Bitcoin is penis, and you come to Dennis, and that's why we got him here. So with no further ado, Bitcoin is sitting currently at $30,000 below its market value price, which is market value price is always 58K for those of you who didn't know. And I know I may seem a little crazy right now, but we'll get back into it. So it is to timestamp today. It's Sunday, March 19th, 10:43 p.m. I'm here in Madrid, Spain, and that's what we're going off of. So Dennis, thanks for coming on. We're really excited to talk to you. And with that being said, where did the 58K come from? That should be the first question for anyone who missed the 58K when it happened. What's the story behind that?
Yeah, I think must have been probably April. Yeah. Yeah, it's coming up on its 2-year anniversary. So that's interesting. But yeah, when we first hit 58K, everyone was happy. Everyone was seeing, I think, during December, January, like a new $1,000 all-time high. So like I guess in December, right? It was like, oh, it's what is it? It's 24,000 on the 24th or something, 25,000 on the 25th.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah. And then we kind
I
of
remember
stalled
that.
out. Yeah, yeah. That was
2020,
pretty
end
cool.
of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, ended 2020. And then we eventually got to 58K around the spring.
Hold on. In February 16th, we hit 50K and we launched Laser Eyes. So it
Oh
was
yeah.
shortly after that we hit 58K, of course.
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of memes came out of like that 6-month period, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. I guess it happens when you have a lot more eyes in the space and they're kind of just like, oh, what can I add to, I don't know, the meme community, right? I wasn't thinking about adding anything at all to the meme community. I just liked making things, I guess, sort of, I guess you could say divisive, because there was a quote, there were a lot of people who did not like 58K at the time because
Oh, they hated it.
yeah, they all hated it. Um, but it's kind of funny to see everyone like missing it the whole bear market. But anyway, like the way it started, I think American Hodl, who's like, I don't know if you guys know of the audience. he's kind of like, I guess you could call him an OG. He started around what, 2015? Got on Twitter like 2015 or something like that. And he would always post his Bitcoin purchases. So it would kind of like hype everyone up to purchase Bitcoin, and people would post their purchases, which I don't know if maybe I did that a few times with my previous accounts, but I didn't do too much because OPSEC with, you know, the amount of Bitcoin you have, and we all lose it in a boating accident or something like that.
Yes.
But I think that's one of the
Just
things
to be sure, how much do you have?
At least 58,000 sats. I
Ooh.
think that's the minimum that you need in order to experience Moon. 58,000 sats.
That's enough. That's enough Bitcoin.
Yeah.
That's a bullish take.
Yeah, if you ask Anders, that will be enough to retire on, right?
Yeah, at least buy a house.
Anders doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just guessing, like we all are.
Yeah. And then
Levine.
yeah, so I think it was American
But
HODL.
just to go back, because you were
Mm.
you were on Twitter back in 2015 when American HODL showed up.
No, I think I really got into Twitter like 2020 because there was really nothing to do. They locked everything down in New York City, so and nobody wanted to hang out. So I had to find another, I guess, outlet to vent about all the craziness and stupidity going on. And I found all you guys basically.
Yep.
Yeah. That was a good time.
It was a good time.
Yeah, it didn't seem like a good time, but it really was a good time, like looking back. Just because of the amount of time everyone ended up spending on Twitter, getting to know each other, sharing memes, posting, like, I don't know, mostly Signal, I'd say, for the time, because nobody else was paying attention to Bitcoin. And everyone was just worried about, you know, not getting sick or whatever craziness was going on. And yeah, from there.
And then Sailor Smash bought in August of 2020.
Yeah, which was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and I think there were rumors maybe a couple months before that also of like, oh, they may have bought Bitcoin. So everyone was kind of just like waiting for the confirmation, and then they confirmed it in their quarterly report that August or something, right?
Yeah.
From what I remember.
I didn't even know that there were rumors. I just remember being like, who's Michael Saylor?
I think it came out in July that he bought, if I'm not mistaken.
Somewhere around
like
there,
like July 22nd or 29th or
August 10th.
August 10th.
It was August 10th. It was my birthday. I remember that one.
Yeah. And I think is like
I'm gonna fact check this.
Fact check it. Fact check it. Run the numbers, Marcus. Run the numbers. My birthday, August 10th.
And let's not forget Plan B's stock to flow model, which was still in play back then. Stock to flow X, you know, he's and then a little after that he came with his floor, his monthly floor price or something. What was it?
It was his on chain.
Actually, I'm not sure. Was it or maybe that was a year later when
that was a year later.
That double top thing. Anyway, I'm sorry, Dennis. Keep going. Keep interrupting.
It's all good. Yeah. Oh yeah, back to 58K. So American HODL, Precious, and like I don't know, a bunch of other people were posting about 58K, about how much they hated it. And I said, no, guys, it needs to stay at 58K. So I just continue to post that. And a lot of people, you know, they were very combative about it. It's like, no, we can't stay at 58K. That's stupid. Like, why am I even in Bitcoin if it's not going to go to $1 million or $10 million? I'm like, no, it has to stay at 58K.
Honestly, I didn't like it at first, but then you drew me in. You drew me right in, you know.
Yeah, because like even 20K was kind of unimaginable for a lot of people because they were saying, oh, it's not going to go back to all-time high. It's just going to, I don't know, go back to 0 or 3K or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know, I kept posting about it like constantly because I was at home all the time. And eventually people start to catch on and be like, oh yeah, yeah, I get it. It's like 58K equals 158K. Like, yeah, it's just like Bitcoin. I'll play along with this. I'll join.
Yeah.
And a lot of that kind of rolled along. And then we went down to, I think, what was it, like 28, 29K after like the whole China ban. And everyone was thinking, oh, maybe this is the start of the bear market. And then after the conference, actually, no, this is like July of 2021. We started to go back up, like at the end of July 2021. We started to go back up. And then everyone was getting hyped and also kind of like annoyed because I was saying, we're going back to 58K, guys. We're going back. We have to go back to 58K.
Which we do have to go back to 58K.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we ended up, I don't remember the exact date we got back, but that was pretty fun. It must have been like September or October. We were just hanging around 58K for a bit. And then eventually, like everyone, who was memeing like, oh, I'm part of 69K gang, because they wanted to be like a rival gang or something.
Yeah,
they were happy because they got like maybe 2 minutes of 69K and then it just dropped back down.
Man, I was summoning 69 420, but we never got there.
Yeah, not 69 420. We didn't get there. We got to 69K.
I just remember 58K because it was just like these months of crab. And it was like, we would go up to the 60s and then just plummet right back down to 58 and then go back up and then plummet right back. It was like, dude, how many times can we touch 58? It was like 10 times.
And everybody was tweeting like Deniz is partying again. Yeah. Every time we hit 58K. Yeah.
Yeah. No one.
Yeah, it was a good.
More than Selly. Selly loves the 58K.
It is a good meme.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then everyone was upset that we got to like what, 15, 16K. And I'm like, come on, guys, this is the time to be part of 58K gang. Because now you have something to look forward to.
Yeah. It has to get through 58K again or to 58K.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Marcus.
I was already ready to go back a little bit more. I'm really curious, like you said, you found Twitter like in 2020, like what happened before that? Were you shitcoining? I know you're also like a BTC Times contributor, and maybe you're doing like other stuff. So yeah, I'm just curious to hear how all that stuff came about and how did Bitcoin change your life, if it did at all or whatnot. Whatever you want to throw in there.
For sure. The first time I heard about Bitcoin was like when it hit 1K for the first time, 2014, January of 2014 or something like that.
Whale confirmed over here.
I mean, not really, but because I didn't take it seriously at the time. That was my first touch. We can go through like I forgot who started that, but it's like, yeah, you need like one to three touches of Bitcoin, like encounters with it to then actually start looking into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to dismiss it a couple of times, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So I dismissed it at 1K because I was like, I don't understand how a currency goes up and down like that, or like, I don't know. I just didn't understand at the time because I was just starting to learn about finance, like equities and bonds, and some of the people I was reading about. No, it was just like a side hobby of mine. My background is more like IT, like help desk type of stuff. But at the time,
lots of tickets coming your way.
Yeah, lots of tickets, lots of people complaining about printers.
And you're just like, turn it on, turn it off, and turn it back on again.
Yeah. It's like
RTFM.
Yeah,
FM manual.
Yeah.
Would you consider that engineering?
I think like more of the implementation of like I don't know, like a workspace. Maybe that's more like engineering. But if you're just troubleshooting, it's like you kind of have to reverse engineer the problem. So maybe, I don't know. Depends how complicated it gets. If you're
Reverse
just doing like,
reverse engineering.
yeah. So I think that's what we do most of the time. Reverse engineer versus like actually building or implementing things. Because when you show up to a job, everything's already implemented.
Yeah,
Everything's just already set up. It's like, all right, now we got to figure out how this is set up.
and how it works.
So yeah.
I would say that's somewhat engineering. Marcus, you win again.
I'm happy you're like just like doing the work for me, Sean. So yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah.
Marcus and I have a ongoing debate, or Marcus's theory of why people get into Bitcoin, or who's like more predispositioned to understand Bitcoin. And his theory is that engineers will understand Bitcoin.
Yeah, to be clear, my theory is like once you just understand like the engineering behind Bitcoin, like how everything works and what the rules of the system are, then you just truly get it because you realize, hey, there's no way to beat this thing or to cheat this thing or to, to break it. So once you understand how all the components fall into place in Bitcoin, then that's when you're like truly orange pilled and you just, yeah.
I would say it when you also understand how the fiat system works too, right? When you understand how they both work, because then you realize all the flaws that are in the fiat system versus.
Well, to be honest, like Bitcoin is so simple that you can figure out how those parts work. And I'm still trying to figure out how the fiat system works. you just realize that they're giving you so much complexity that it's just like, well, it just doesn't make sense, and they're trying to explain it in ways which are like not explainable, probably because it's all a lie.
It's well, economics isn't mathematics. It's fake math.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why like my journey to Bitcoin was pretty delayed, because I started with equities. So I wanted to understand equities, and then I wanted to understand how to protect my savings or my funds. And the best option for that time was equities, because if you put it into anything else, it just wouldn't keep up with inflation, or it would just be sitting there and nothing would happen. I mean, it'd basically just be eaten away by inflation. So I had to learn about all that before I started learning about what actual money was. So I didn't get around to reading The Creature from Jekyll Island until probably like 2018. And then that's a heavy book. So once I got through that, I was like, oh, okay, this is what fiat is. Great. And then I took Bitcoin more seriously around that time because I didn't really like where things were in my life. So it was kind of just like, all right, I need to change something, because I'm not gonna.
What do you mean you didn't like where things were in your life?
At least in like in the job position I was in, it was just like there was no room to improve. So I figured, okay, I have to start changing things up, and there was like a bit of tension between me and some of the superiors I worked for, just because I thought their whole system was BS. Like the way they have everything set up, like IT wise, I was like, this is stupid. But yeah, during that time, I got more into Bitcoin just because I thought that was the best option I had, because I saw that it was going up again. I was like, oh, it bottomed around 3K. I mean, well, so I guess to rewind a bit of that. So I started buying things like Dogecoin, Litecoin, etc. around like 2017. And then
were you buying Bitcoin too, or it was just like, oh, I've missed the boat?
Well, it wasn't so much that I thought I missed the boat. It was just sort of like, I want money really fast.
Yes.
Yeah, I want it super fast. But yeah, I mean, I did buy Bitcoin at the time too, but I was trading it for shitcoins, like an idiot, of course. But through that whole process, I learned how to properly store my funds, even if it was with other coins. At least I got that experience. And if I lost the coins, it wouldn't have been a big deal because, you know, it's not Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then around like 2018, started getting into like trying to understand how mining worked. So that was when Ethereum was on proof of work and was trying to do some of that. But basically that's the only way I was earning Bitcoin at the time, was through trading hash power of like a GPU and then getting paid out in Bitcoin. I was like, okay, I'll just leave the Bitcoin there. I'm not going to do anything with that. And then I didn't take it seriously until, yeah, like after I read The Creature from Jekyll Island. And then
So this
yeah,
this was all before you were on Twitter. So you're getting your information.
yeah, this was all before
what,
on
like
Twitter.
YouTube.
Like
Yeah, like you're
yeah,
getting it from
it
the
was
shit
before
coin.
YouTube and Twitter. This was like me just going, because I think Reddit was like most of the information I got
Oh, that
from
sucks.
from that time. And yeah, I mean it was terrible. Everyone was talking about Bitcoin and Bcash or whatever. It's like, oh, there's a fork going on, everything's gonna implode, and like, oh, you should be on Bcash because it's like faster and bigger blocks. It's just, you know, it's just bigger and faster. Like okay, whatever. I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
so that also kind of deterred me from looking more into Bitcoin as well. I was like, they're going through some block war that I have no idea what even that is. I didn't have any idea what was going on there. I didn't even know what a fork was. So I was like, okay, I'll just mess around with my stupid little coins that, you know, eventually ended up trending to zero or whatever, turned into a joke like Doge. But yeah, I saw that Bitcoin's chart was going back up around like 5K during the spring of 2019. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to miss this. I can't miss this. I'm going to actually learn and figure out what's going on here, because, you know, I see price going up. I'm like, okay, it's doing the same thing it was doing in 2014 and 2017. Okay, let's see what happens in 2021. So that's kind of like the I guess the low IQ I guess reason why I got into it. I was like, I just want to see number go up. And number go up is great. It's really great. But not understanding why is not going to help you. Like if you don't figure out why price is going up.
So why does price go up?
It's just supply and demand. And the halving. Obviously the halving. I didn't know what the halving was. Everyone was talking about the halving. Oh, Litecoin just had a halving. Like, yeah, there's going to be less Litecoin. I'm like, I don't know what that is, man, but I guess I'll get some.
It's the silver to Bitcoin's gold. Go on, man.
Yeah, because we need silver and gold in the digital realm, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I don't, okay.
It is wild though, right? Because the minute you start looking into something like Litecoin, you end up in like this Litecoin funnel of like people with like all this narrative and, you know, counter narratives to Bitcoin, and you can really get like trapped in one of those funnels for a long time. Like me personally, I was actually stuck in like the XRP storyline for a couple of months back in 2017, and
I about some XRP
yeah,
too.
it
Yeah.
oh man, it took some rewiring
They're
to get
so
out of
good.
that,
They're
you know?
so
Like,
good at it. Like
yeah.
like they just keep telling you, oh, this one's gonna blow up. This one's gonna do it's gonna shoot to the moon, and you're just like, you're so new, and you want to make money, and you're like, everyone already has, you know, 100 Bitcoin. I need to get 100 Bitcoin too, you know, and you start comparing
Yeah.
yourself to everybody else, and it's just the wrong way to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, I
Mark.
think there was a time where like my coworker and I wanted to see Bitcoin crash. I mean, I wasn't like too keen on seeing it crash again, just because like I don't know, I didn't care enough about the space to be like, oh yeah, it's like what is it? It's like, you know how people like to see others get injured or hurt in videos. It's like the same thing with trying to wait and see what happens to Bitcoin. It's like everyone's just on the sidelines, just waiting for everyone in the space to get burned. Like it's like entertainment or something. I never got too into that. I was like, no, I don't want to see things like get destroyed. I want to understand why all these guys are making so much money. How do I make so much money? I want to do that type of thing. But Yeah, there's a few people I know who are like that, and they still refuse to take Bitcoin seriously. They're just like, nah, I want to, I want to stay in this fiat realm, and if it crashes, I'm gonna like post memes about it and laugh at everyone who bought too much or whatever. I don't know. I never had like a destructive type of mindset, but a lot of people do, at least from my experience. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I think a lot of Bitcoiners do as well, right? I mean, there's if you look on Twitter today, like as we're speaking, like there's like banks imploding and needing to get bailed out, and
Yeah.
we keep telling each other like don't dance, but secretly, kind of enjoying it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would say that there's probably there's two different things behind why a Bitcoiners like kind of like to see the banks get destroyed. First of all, because it's gonna happen regardless, because the way the fiat system is set up, right? So it's like, oh, this is what we've been calling for. Like, think about Satoshi Nakamoto. Like, what was the thing he put in the Genesis block, right? Like, it was about the banks on the brink of second bailout. Like it wasn't about magic internet money. He wasn't doing it, to put JPEGs of a monkey on a blockchain. It
Mhm.
was it was an alternative system for central banking. It was alternative money because the banks you can't trust banks at all because they will debase your currency. So I think that was like, that's what Bitcoiners point out. But I see these people too, like what you're talking about, Dennis, like these just regular normies that they want to see Bitcoin burn. And I think one of the reasons why is because to us, most Bitcoiners, right? Bitcoin is hope. It's like
Mhm.
we understand how the fiat system is set up. We realize that it has an inevitable end of crashing and burning. So we're trying to figure out how do we transition out of that into something better. And we found something, and it's Bitcoin. And most people think that it's just too good to be true. Like, right? Like it's like, oh, the government will shut it down, or there will be another Bitcoin, a better Bitcoin that comes along, or it uses up too much energy, it's going to boil the oceans, all these different things. And in their minds, it's too good to be true. And if you like take a step back, like it actually is true, like, and there's people every day that are understanding its truth. And like but there's other people that are just sitting there from a distance that refuse to look at the truth and will just mock the truth, and they think that they're smart and funny for doing that. It's crazy, like I don't understand that mindset either, really.
Yeah, it's the spectators versus the players. Like the Bitcoiners are the players, and the spectators just like to watch what's happening, and they don't really see themselves ever participating. That's like how a lot of, I don't know.
The man in the arena.
If you want to, yeah, if you want to like be, I guess, binary about it, it's like you only have players and you only have spectators. And a lot of people, as we saw these last like 2 or 3 years, a lot of them are spectators and they just want to see what happens to the people who are actually trying to build things and do things.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about it. So it's not sports ball after all. It's Bitcoin ball.
Yeah, everything is basketball.
Marcus, this is the thing that Dennis and I have. I try to show Dennis how sports are proof of work. That's my goal. But I get it if it is bread and circuses to some extent.
Yeah, and I mean if you're in, if you're the actual player, then yeah, all respect to you. I was just talking about the spectators. I don't I don't respect too many spectators, to be honest. I think that was my main thing.
Yeah.
Because they're not gonna actually like put in the work. They're just gonna claim you. They're gonna like try to stake you, basically. They'll be like, oh yeah, my team, he's my guy, like he's gonna do the work, and I'm just gonna sit by and enjoy the show and get brownie points with my friends who are also spectators. I don't know.
Yeah. The thing that as a spectator, like for me, when I watch sports, especially basketball because I play basketball. What I like about it is when I watch a guy who really works hard or who has worked hard at his craft, to me it's inspiring, right? Because I'm like, oh, this guy has worked his tail off to get to where he is, or he had all these odds against him and he made it to the top, or whatever he had to do that. Like, and so then it inspires me to work harder in my things because I'm like, oh, this guy went, and his odds were worse than my odds, and he still did, and he still figured a way around it. So I think that's like from a spectator's, if that's what you're doing, cool. If you're just like, let me put on the jersey and like drink 10 beers and not like fall asleep in the fourth quarter, right? Then it's a little different.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you've been talking about
I
sports.
think this was our first awkward silence, Sean.
Oh, well, I thought you were going to speak, Marcus. I wasn't even sure if you were still here or not, because unless he was
Yeah, no, I'm like on the spectator. I was thinking, should I take the opposite side of this? Because like I see a basketball player, I see a runner, Dennis,
yeah.
and I did some running. And to be honest, whenever like a lot of times the spectators will get me through the hard pieces, right? I mean, when you're down, or sometimes when people are clapping and cheering you on the sidelines, you're like, all right, let's
Yeah.
do this. Like you kind of forget the pain, you keep going. And also spectators look at you, and if you're giving them the example. I mean, I had to think about, you have early adopters and the early majority, and some people just need to see how it's done first, be a spectator first, and then they get like, they build up the confidence by watching others, and they think, like maybe they learn and they end up following you later on down the road at a later time or whatever. So I wouldn't dismiss the spectators. It's just the ones screaming on the sidelines, "You suck!" Like you're going too slow. Yeah, of course, like. But I don't know if we're taking this analogy like way too far.
There's always a hater.
But
There's always a hater, that's for sure. That's something that
yeah,
I've learned. Like you always have,
yeah,
if you're doing something good, if you're winning, there's always a hater. And a lot of times the hater, like your biggest haters will come from people who should be like your biggest supporters, like so
oh, we
like
were talking about the shit coins before, right? And for some reason, like Raul Paul has been on my radar a lot lately because he started out, like coming into the space, like you could literally see him come into the space, and he was like, he was like a macro guy, and he's like, wow, this Bitcoin thing is really fascinating, and you could like from week to week, you literally see him learning, and all of a sudden he discovers shit coins, and
yeah,
he started Real Vision Crypto because. And the guy's not stupid, right? He's like this Goldman Sachs guy. He knows exactly like there's all this stupid money, like all these noobs coming in, and he's just watching the space. He's seeing like Bitcoin is the real deal, but people just like how Dennis described, like you come in, you're coming in for the fast fiat gains, and people just like are like open and so like gullible or susceptible to like these new narratives. If you have a good story about why this thing is going to be the new thing, Sean, like you're already calling the next bull market will be around AI and that kind of stuff. If you just make a Venn diagram with some like
the
trending
shit coin
terms,
market.
and you throw blockchain in there, you throw AI and chat GPT in there, and people are
Yeah,
going to be like, yeah, this is going to be. So,
yeah,
and he knew that space, everybody's trying to promote their coin. So he figured, if I combine that with my YouTube channel and whatnot, I'm going to get all the sponsors. And he literally got
yeah.
like BlockFi and Silvergate and all the worst names to
The most
sponsor him.
the most
And he's
trusted
he's making
name.
a lot of money. So he's just, I don't think it was like naivete or anything. I think he knew exactly what he was doing, and he was just knowing that the most money was going to be made in the shitcoin side because Bitcoin is not paying you, to sponsor your
No,
podcast. So that was pretty obvious. But the funny thing is, and then he's on record saying, he got called out by the Bitcoin maximalists, of course, he gets like a lot of memes sling at him, like, and he turns against the Bitcoin maximalists and he says, well, you know what? During bull runs, Bitcoin pumps, but the shit coins outperform. And
yes.
during bear markets, you're better off sitting in cash.
In
So you
stable
know what?
coins.
There's there's no need to ever sit in Bitcoin. But like
Bitcoin.
watching the price action this week is just hilarious, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Bitcoin is outperforming everything. So I was actually today looking for that clip. And as I'm looking for that clip from Raoul Paul where he says that, I haven't found it, by the way. So if you know where it is, Sean, please send it to me.
It was a
But
tweet. It was a tweet, and I tried to find that tweet. I tried to find that tweet like last week.
no, he's on video. He's on video. It could have been
I
a
remember
tweet, but
him.
there is a video. I
I remember
clearly
the
see
tweet.
his face, like.
I remember the
But
tweet, and what's crazy is I tried to find we didn't, and Marcus and I haven't even talked about this, but I tried to find that tweet last week, and I was looking for like 5 minutes. I couldn't find it. I was like, did he delete this tweet? I don't know what happened with it, but I specifically remember that
anyway,
as well. Yeah, go ahead.
I tried to look for it on YouTube, right? Because I know he's on camera saying it with like this mean grin on his face. And as I'm looking for, Raoul Paul says you don't need Bitcoin or whatever, then, YouTube gives you like the more recent video results. So he's literally like 1 or 2 days ago, he's on video now saying, yeah, I got into Bitcoin in 2013 because literally in the white paper it says, like banks banks are a second bailout. Sorry. What is it? Governor on second bailout for banks.
Yeah, Cant's on the second
Chancellor.
brink of bailouts.
Chancellor, right. The point being is like he completely is not talking about Ethereum anymore. He's like, this is why I got into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is designed, for the failure of banks. So it's hilarious, as the like Bitcoin is doing what it's literally built for, and we're literally seeing a banking crisis. Mr. Shitcoin himself is now jumping back on the Bitcoin wagon and saying this is what Bitcoin is built for. I thought that was so telling. Yeah, sometimes I miss the exact English words for it, but
that's cool.
Those were my thoughts there.
What's going on now happened in like 2018, 2019. Like the same crypto channels that are really big now, they were talking about we mess around with altcoins, but right now Bitcoin's doing really well, so you guys should probably look more into Bitcoin. And that's the perfect time to get in, I guess. Like when you're a noob, you're following these altcoin channels, but they're only talking about Bitcoin. It's like, okay, that's good, but around the bull market, they start promoting all these stupid coins, and then that's how you lose your Bitcoin. But I saw the same thing happening around like 2018, 2019. Channels like Bitcoin Crypto and like Altcoin Daily, Data Dash, Carl from the Moon, all these guys, they were all talking about, oh yeah, just buy Bitcoin right now because the altcoins aren't doing anything right now. It's like they're doing the same thing now. So like everything's a cycle. Yeah, everything just happens the same way, just a different date.
and they have the best marketing around it too. Oh, the Bitcoin maxis are they're so close-minded, right? Because to get to the point where you have to understand what Bitcoin is, you have to be open-minded. And then like the shitcoin argument is you just use the same argument that we use as Bitcoiners against why you would put your money into Bitcoin instead of in banks, and then you just push it one further, right? Like you extend the truth into a little bit of a lie, which is, oh, now you should put it into Ethereum and any other whatever other favorite shitcoin is out, And so I think it's a really good marketing gimmick, and it's very sly, like it's a really good way. And these YouTubers or people like Raoul Paulo has his Crypto Vision, right, channel, like they're like what Marcus was saying, they're not going to get paid by Satoshi to market for Bitcoin, but they will get paid by Vitalik, they will get paid by Justin Sun, and they will get paid by all these other, they will get paid by, like SBF, how many guys did he pay off? And so like so many people like sell their soul for this
lending
money.
Platforms where you can get risk-free yields, right? Stake it here, put your Bitcoin here so they can, third-party risk, don't go for it.
Everywhere. Okay, well, Dude, Dennis,
100%.
so you're a runner, and there's this Kanye quote, right? Because we're all a little bit crazy. There's this Kanye quote, and he says, "Everyone want to call me crazy if I'm running down the wrong side of the freeway with some short shorts on, sweating by myself. I'm crazy. But if 100 other people do it with me, it's a marathon."
Yeah, man.
Kanye might be crazy, but what do you take from that? Like as Bitcoiners, right? Like what do you take from that quote? And as a runner, you're a runner, you're a Bitcoiner.
Yeah, I guess we're all kind of Kanye, I guess at that point. At least the Bitcoiners are. I know a lot of them aren't, they don't want to hear that, but it's like, yeah, we're kind of like Kanye. It's like in the same vein a bit. Yeah. Because it's hard for a lot of people to take us seriously, especially when I guess things are looking, yeah, like the last like couple of months, like nobody wanted to be in Bitcoin. I don't know if people want to be in Bitcoin now, but maybe some people are coming back just because of price. But
Yeah.
yeah, because you're gonna be basically in the red for like 3 years if you buy the
Years.
top. Yeah, years. Yeah, depending. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
nobody
curious.
wants to be in the red. They don't want to be wrong for 3+ years. They don't
Yeah.
want to wait around for that because
Yeah.
everyone's high time preference.
The third party risk does not make a lot of sense to Westerners, right? Like when you
Yeah,
see when you see people in Lebanon burning banks down, Americans like they can't even connect with the third, like why third party risk is so important. It's
mhm,
because it can happen at any moment.
yeah, yeah. My dad was telling me about that too when it happened in Turkey. It's happened a few times in Turkey, but when he was in Turkey around the 80s, he was trying to get to America and he was saving in dollars versus the lira.
Yeah.
So, but at the time, you could only get dollars on the black market. Like legally, you weren't allowed to hold a certain amount of dollars. So he would have to just go up to tourists and trade his liras for dollars like on the spot. So peer
And
to
I'm
peer
sure
right there.
and I'm sure that would come at a premium too, right? Like if the exchange rate was 1 to 10, then he's probably paying, 1 to 20 for that, right? Like,
No way, no way. You ever been to holiday to Turkey? It's
no.
like
So
well, if you ever go, not even Turkey per se, but whatever country you go to, you try to swap your dollars or your euros for local currency, you always feel like you're getting scammed, right?
yeah,
So, I mean, if your dad was a good haggler or a good salesman, I mean, he might have even got it at a discount. I guess it just depends.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He didn't mention like the exchange, like I don't know. He didn't mention the premium or like the discount that he would get, but it was enough for him to be like, okay, I'm able to get out of here and go to the US.
Wow, he must have negotiated with a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah, he was probably saving up for like a couple of years. Uh, by the time he turned 18, yeah, he came over to the US.
Oh
He was
wow.
like, yeah, I got to get out. I just got to get out because I think he said overnight it went from like 20 liras to 40 liras per dollar. So yeah, you can't save. You can't save
No.
like that. It's impossible.
No, it's literally
And it's
hyperinflation.
yeah, and it's happening again. This is like the third time.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked with Stackmore a couple months ago, who's from Turkey,
Mm,
about the inflation that's going on in Turkey. And he was telling us that in like 20, I think it was 2016 and 2017, inflation in Turkey was like 8%, you know. And me and Marcus were like, what? Because that's what it is in the US and in Europe. It's like 8%, 6% now, but at the time it was like 8%. And so it's like
mhm.
in 5 or 6 or 7 years, it could be at 100% or 200% super
Yeah.
easy in the United States and in Europe.
Yeah.
So it happens
Yeah,
Is
like
fast.
your dad like interested in Bitcoin, or is he a Bitcoiner, or what does he think of Bitcoin?
yeah. I don't remember the time. I don't remember around the time he started getting into it. It must have been like 2021. I showed him all the apps. Like you have the Earn Carrot, which is now like Bitcoin Magazine. So you read the articles and you get your little Satoshis. Yeah, he refers to every. So when he's explaining to new people about Bitcoin, he automatically says Satoshis. And I'm like, they don't know what Satoshis are. But that's good. It's good because he
Yeah.
knows
Yeah,
but yeah, he's
sets
really
the
into it.
standard.
Yeah. Yeah, he really likes it. Because he was into gold a lot before, but now it's like and silver. But he sees Bitcoin as it's just better. He understands that.
Marcus and I were talking the other day too, offline, and a line that we came up with was that there is a second best, and the second best is gold. Like, because gold is what's, it brings people down that sound money theory, right? And then that should bring them to Bitcoin eventually, if they can understand what sound money is.
Yeah. Yeah, they just need I guess if they're boomers, yeah, that'd be the easiest way to explain things. Since my dad's a boomer. And then you just like, I don't know, you just constantly prod at them. It's like, all right, read this article. This is what you need to learn. This is what I'm doing right now. Just, I don't know. Let me know what you think after you're done reading it. But I don't know. It depends on the person most of the time. But yeah, he was doing real estate before, like contracting and building. So
Yeah.
there you go, Marcus. That's like engineering, right?
He's also an engineer. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm saying. We're all in, like, if you think about it, we're all building something, right? Isn't everybody building something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be able to dissect it, man, to understand Bitcoin.
No, you don't. You just have to be able to speak another language. That's all you got to do.
It, yeah, you don't have to. It just helps a lot, you know. So otherwise, you're just trusting that it works, right, and that it's a safe place. But I think that's a real lot of reason why people, people that use that argument, yeah, but it's not tangible, like I can't put it in anything tangible. Well, those are people who don't understand engineering. Because
It's a
if
feature.
you understand engineering and you look at Bitcoin, then you actually will say, well, it sort of is tangible because you have to put like actual energy into this thing to get it. That's proof of work. But most non-engineers just don't get that, and they just think it's some kind of cyber money, and and it can get hacked. All software can get hacked. It's just like, yeah, but not if you understand all the moving parts. But yeah, I'm just repeating myself at this point. So
It's all good. No, yeah, it's like it's like an email or like a Word document. It's like, well, that's not real either. Why do you trust to use that? Like you trust that your words are gonna come out the same way
Right?
as they are in front of
Yeah,
you and in the email? Like
that's a very good argument. I've never
like,
thought about that before.
yeah, it's like yeah, if you have legal documents and they're all online, well, what makes their word, uh
How do
like
you,
verified,
yeah, how do you verify when I sign a DocuSign that it sends back the same document that I've signed? How do I know that it doesn't change the words and now I've signed, like I've put my signature on a fake document?
Yeah.
That's a
I can
really good.
Photoshop your signature onto any document I want.
Yeah, I can do the same thing.
It's true, but yeah, they trusted more though. They're like, oh yeah, I don't know if it's Photoshop, but I'll take it. Like, can't verify it,
Yeah.
but they take it anyway. They're like, oh, this is real. Sure, all right. These binding documents are real.
Dude, I was doing
So,
that I was doing that with the COVID pass,
mm,
during COVID out here in
yeah,
Europe. I just made my own fake COVID pass and people would scan it. I used
All
like,
right.
you know,
So we're not allowed to say regarded, but now you're here talking about, like making fake COVID passes.
yeah.
Smart, Sean.
this
Smart.
is purely
You're not the only one.
this is
You're not the
purely
only
for
one, Sean.
entertainment only. Maybe I did or maybe I didn't actually do that. I did it.
But
Uh
yeah, it's easy to forge any document.
yeah.
Doesn't mean we did it. I'm just saying it's easy to forge.
No, that's one of the easiest arguments though, is when someone says, "Oh, you can't even touch it. It's not even real money." Oh, okay. Well, then go ahead and write a letter again, idiot, you know.
Yeah. It's like your letter's not real. You sending me like if you're gonna fire me over email, how do I know that's real? That's not real. I
Yeah.
can't touch it.
Yeah.
That could be a good video, dude. We should have the crypto couple make a video like that.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
they'd probably be into it.
Unsolicited memes.
Oh yeah.
But it's cool that your dad is into it. I still, like my parents, they also own some Bitcoin because I kept hammering at them, but they haven't really dug in, they don't really get it yet. So it's hard, and
What? Why is
especially
why
yeah,
why is that? Why don't people dig in? Like even like our friends
because
that we
because
get
they're
too
not
many.
engineers.
That's not a good answer, dude. I need a better answer than that. I'm not an engineer. I dug into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I always had trouble with my parents, like even getting them to use a computer. In the beginning it took them a long time, and of course now they're emailing and stuff, but they're still always a little bit afraid of, installing the wrong software or clicking on the wrong space. So I don't know. They were just it's not very technology tech savvy, I guess the word is.
Mm.
So I think that's part of it at least.
But what about like friends that are our age that like they've had an iPhone for years. They know how to use computers just fine. They may not be the most tech savvy people, but they're not like idiots when it comes to technology either. What is the reason, or what are some reasons why people are seeing inflation happen in the United States? Like you can't deny that inflation's happening. And most people don't think that prices are going to come back down. Like as much as they want to say prices are going to come back down, I don't think most people actually believe that. So why do they just not think that there actually is? Like do they think it's like a Tina thing? There's no alternative. We just have to use the dollar. Like the dollar is the only option.
It's because they're like, so one of my coworkers, he's way smarter than me. He's definitely like way more of an engineer than me, but he's not as into Bitcoin because I'm pretty sure it's because he like his minor was in economics. So because he took that,
Hmm.
he he doesn't believe that he needs to unlearn what he already learned.
Yeah.
So with Bitcoin, it's kind of like that. You kind of have to just like throw everything out from what you've learned before
Yeah, you
to
do.
be like, oh, this is a new system, this can work. But that's just like one exception to Marcus's theory. It's like, okay, if you have an engineer, but if they, for whatever reason, taken an economics class, they're most likely not going to like throw that information out.
Well,
They're
yeah,
going to keep, yeah,
there's a lot of software devs that are engineers on shitcoin platforms, right?
yeah.
Like, what? Where is their mit? Like, I guess they have
Maybe
an.
they took
Yeah, but
Econ
but
101. I think all these guys have taken Econ 101 and they're just like, I don't need to unlearn any of that. That's the only
yeah,
explanation I have for that.
It's got to be more than that. It's got to be
no,
more.
I think it's a really powerful argument though, because I also remember like holy shit, like you have to be willing to take the other side, even though you've been, like it's and it wasn't even Bitcoin. It was like also coming on to like Bitcoin Twitter, right? It seemed like all these crazy people, these meat eating,
Yeah.
climate denying, Trump supporting wackos, right? Like when you're coming, like at least me, like Europeans are mostly like more like, I mean, we're literally like spoon fed to be like Democrats, right? Like if you're listening to the news in Europe,
Oh yeah.
they're
Mm.
I was
always taking
I,
the sides of the Democrats, right?
I, I
That's
was
just
just
the way it goes. So
I was
you
just
also
telling
have
my
to be
teammates
willing
about
to
today.
like you have to be willing to be critical and think for yourself and just like okay, challenge stuff, and it's hard, it's hard to challenge stuff, especially when you're just stuck in your day to day, you're thinking about how to make a promotion in whatever job you're doing. You're thinking about where we're going to go on holiday the next vacation. You're thinking about the home improvements you need to do. You're thinking about your sports game and that party on the next weekend. So, yeah, what do people think? I don't think they're thinking about inflation, Sean. Like that's already, when they're already thinking about that, that's already like so much steps ahead. Most people are just like turning on the news. They're like, oh yeah, there's some banks high in trouble. Okay, what's the game doing? They're just like trusting that the bankers and the central bankers will solve this, and it's all politics, boring. And only when it gets really bad, right? And now, wait a minute, now there's inflation, my food prices are going up, my energy bills going up. Now they're getting angry and now they're starting to pay attention. But still, are they really diving into what's causing all of this? No, they're just listening to the news and whatever the experts feed them, tell them what's going on. And we all know that all the experts are all these guys that took economics 101 and advanced classes in economics. So yeah, that's how I see it. I don't, so most normies, you have to be able to like think critically and be dragged or kicked into that rabbit hole first, right? Like somebody needs to orange pill them first and tell them like, hey, psst, I'll tell you what, they're lying to you, like the truth is completely different from what you're hearing. And then they're like, who's that weirdo? Like, why would I believe this weirdo who's also, denying the climate and or has alternative views to climate? So yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, I think there's a narrative. I think it's the narrative that's around Bitcoin, because everyone's heard of Bitcoin now, and they all have their preconceived notions about it. And most of it is like, huh, Bitcoin, like when people, like, that's what the narrative is, instead of it being like, dude, this is the real thing, and whenever I tell someone, oh yeah, like I'm pretty into Bitcoin, it's always like a laugh, like they feel they're better than you for some reason, and for who knows why, right? Like I don't even know why, because in their mind it's the Bitcoin bros, it's the these crazy people or whatever it is. There's some narrative that's been sent out there about Bitcoin. So maybe that's what we got to do, is change that narrative. But I mean, I don't know how. Like, how do we put Bitcoin in the Overton, like Bitcoin maximalism in the Overton window? Like,
Is that something you guys discuss at like BTC Times? I don't know if you want to talk about that, but I'm just curious, because it's like Bitcoin has very few like media channels, right? Because obviously there is no CEO, there's no marketing department with a budget.
yeah,
But I mean, there are some Bitcoin only channels, and one of them is like BTC Times, I guess. But is that something you can or talk about, Dennis, or how you guys look at it over there, or what your approach is there?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly news based. We do take in like a few opinion pieces here and there. But yeah, I think the BTC Times would be open to, I guess, discussing more of that, like being maybe not, I don't know. That's the thing with Bitcoin. It's sort of like it's really hard to push just like one narrative of what goes on, because everyone uses Bitcoin
for different reasons,
for their own situations. They get into it on their own most of the time, unless they're, lucky enough to immediately go to Bitcoin Twitter, because a lot of them, they'll filter in from YouTube and Reddit, like we already discussed, and there's like so many booby traps to just get pushed into like another coin or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just going to come down to price at the end of the day. They just need to see it stable at 58K for at least like 58 years. And people will take it seriously at that point.
And then they'll take it serious.
Then they'll take it seriously. Like, oh, it's a stable coin. Let's put all my whatever crap I have and just put it all in there.
It's amazing. Yeah, people want this. They'd rather a stable coin than volatility to the upside. Come on.
Yeah, I think.
What's Go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Marky.
No, please go ahead.
I think they just need to see number go up and stay at a certain point where it's like, oh man, like I see all these Bitcoiners on mainstream TV. They basically bought all these mainstream media outlets, and now they're pushing, well, not pushing, but like they're creating content from a first principles approach. Like they're putting out quality content that people actually can appreciate versus like all this fiat stuff, like all this nonsense that doesn't really help anyone with their lives. I
You know
think that's probably what's going to have to happen.
You know what's interesting, right? Like from our lifetime, the thing that I can liken Bitcoin to is the internet. Because I remember when people would say, like, I don't know anything about the internet, I don't know anything about it. If you say that now, you'll be like, okay, boomer. Like, what do you mean you don't know anything about the internet? Like you're on it all day, every day, you
Yeah.
know. But when like I remember seeing Nico, right, from Simply Bitcoin. He just went on this live news thing in Chicago or something that they brought him on. And the
Nice.
first thing that they said, like every reporter says this, I don't know anything about Bitcoin. It's like, why? Why are you even talking about it then? Like, you don't know anything about it? You can't tell me one thing about it? And I think that it's okay. It's like okay to not know anything. It's actually like cool to not know anything about it. And so like if we could get it to be cool to know things about Bitcoin, yeah. Oh, there is a halving. There is a difficulty adjustment. Like it's not that hard to learn a couple things about it. And I think like that's something that we should try. Like we should try to hold people to a higher standard. I think we should hold people accountable to learning about this thing because it isn't because in my opinion, it is important. We're all going to be using it one day. So the earlier you can learn about it, the better.
Yeah, we need to start bullying people into knowing what Bitcoin is.
Yeah.
That's where
Bullying
the toxicity, comes in. Yeah. It's
yeah.
like, yeah, you're gonna get made fun of if you don't know it. Yeah,
Yes.
I guess that's a good approach. I mean, they're already doing that on Twitter, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh, like my feelings, like, oh, but
Yeah. This
I
is
don't
the
know.
reason why people don't buy Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's because
You
everyone's so
guys are,
toxic. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. You develop your portfolio based on how people act, on what they invest in, right? It's like, come on. Like that's a bad strategy. Terrible strategy.
Mm.
It is also kind of like bullish, right? If you think about it, if that's literally where we are still, like
Yeah.
just people having no clue, but at the same, and I kind of feel it's with that energy FUD too, all that, like there was like this hearing going on last week in I don't know, what it was, if it was a hearing but
Cynthia Lummis.
Troy Cross was Troy Cross and Cynthia Loomis were there like reporting on it. And Cynthia Loomis was actually part of she was a speaker, I guess, or somebody doing the hearing or the questioning. And then, but to hear the arguments like of some of these guys, it's just like flat all falsehoods, and it can like easily be like fact checked and like proven false. And but that is literally where we still are. They're just like throwing out nonsense. So at a certain point, that truth, which is like the reality, will just catch up with them, and they're not going to be able to keep doing that because it's just going to be like, okay, at a certain point you can't, we're going to get past that. And I feel that once journalists and stuff also have like a very basic understanding of what is actually true, right? Like even Jamie Dimon saying that, like, yeah, well, everybody keeps saying 21 million, but who says that? How do you know like Satoshi's not just gonna pop up and laugh at you? Like like those kind of statements, are like
No, tell me
there's right
you
now they
don't
can still
understand what
do
happened.
that, but in a couple of years, I guess that's just not going to be possible anymore. And then I guess we're going to advance a little bit further once like journalists also have like this very basic understanding of at least the basic principles,
Yeah.
and then there will be some explaining to do. We're gonna get to that point, but that leads me to the other question I have for you, Dennis. Like, what is your most likely scenario of how Bitcoin is going to, are you in the slowly then suddenly camp, just gradual up, or is it just going to be like this tipping point? Are we going to see hyper Bitcoinization, or will it never come? Will it always stay in the corner of, the elite few who actually have some money to invest? Like if you ask people in a survey, do you own stocks? I don't know the exact numbers. It depends on what country, etc. But it's like 20% maybe. Like 80% of the population doesn't own stocks or bonds or whatever. They're just trying to get by. Will Bitcoin stay in that corner, or will it really become like a world currency? And what time frame? What is your gut tell you?
I'm more in the camp of yeah, I think hyper Bitcoinization will happen. I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime though. Just because, well, you have Jamie Dimon's daughter, for example. She owns Bitcoin, right? So you have to wait for either Jamie Dimon to retire or pass away, etc. And a lot of people who are around his same age as well, who are in power but refuse to adapt or bring in Bitcoin. I think a lot of that type of stuff kind of needs to happen. I mean, it could go, I don't know. I guess it'll be gradual, in my opinion. I don't know. It's really too hard to predict, in my opinion. I know that people are like super bullish about hyper Bitcoinization, that it's going to happen, but like, I don't know. I don't have too much faith in most people just because of the last like 2 or 3 years. Like I don't think they're going to find it on their own. There needs to be like, I guess it goes back to the type of content or narrative that's going around with Bitcoin. You'll need Bitcoin's price to go up so that eventually there's a Bitcoiner who's holding Bitcoin and they're like, huh, I got all this Bitcoin and I want to buy CNN. I want to buy Fox. And then once they do that, I think the narrative will start shifting, or they start their own media company that ends up being bigger than Fox or CNN, etc. And that's pretty much like how, yeah, like the meme factory is going to be bigger than Fox.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Within the next, like, could be 10 to 15 years. I mean, that's what happened with Microsoft and like all these other companies that people have high esteem for, like Apple. I mean, Apple was like, it was worth nothing in like 1998. And then it just ended up being the most valued company in the world, and everyone took it seriously. It just has to get bigger, I think. So once we see it big enough, it's like, okay, all right, I'll take it seriously.
Yeah, so you're seeing it as this snowball getting bigger, right? Because all these Bitcoiners are going to get richer, so they're going to start like buying media and companies.
Yeah, they'll actually,
and
they'll
then
be able to do what they want to do with their Bitcoin. It's like, oh yeah, like I have this media company, I want it to be bigger, or I just want to, like, I don't know, if the price shoots up to 1 million, like they're saying, within 90 days, I don't think it's going to happen. It's going to be at 58K forever. But if it does shoot up to 1 million, a lot of people are going to be like, huh, I could just buy this company outright and then just have all my values and have my first principles applied to this company, get rid of all the nonsense, hire people that actually deserve to be there, and then we'll be able to spin the narrative, or at least point people in the right direction for the narrative of Bitcoin in whatever company they decide to buy.
Yeah.
Right. So in my view, that would then be like for some reason I see that as growing, like not gradually, but that seems more of a gradual than suddenly type thing, where it like adoption accelerates, right?
Right. So even if price goes up a lot to like 1 million within 3 months, like everyone's saying, I mean, not everyone, but certain people are saying
that is not happening.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. But let's say it does happen. It's not going, I don't think it would replace fiat in the way people think it will. Because you need to have it implemented within these companies. And then eventually, like, I don't know, your employees will start learning about it because they'll be like, oh, like this guy got like really lucky with Bitcoin. You should probably learn about it and that type of stuff. It's just
I
like,
disagree with you. I disagree with you on that point. And here's why. Because if Bitcoin goes
Fight,
to
fight, 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 fight.
here's why. And Marcus, I had this conversation with Marcus a couple of days ago, or was that yesterday? I think we had this conversation. I disagree because I think if Bitcoin goes to $1 million in 90 days, then that means that the dollar is going through hyper. Like the only reason that could happen is because the dollar is going through hyperinflation. And if the dollar is going through hyperinflation, then just like how your dad didn't want Turkish liras, nobody wants the dollar. And just like how in COVID, there's so many people who didn't want to do, like before COVID, people didn't want to do Zoom and video editing or video conferencing. And then like one day later, everyone was doing Zoom and video conferencing because they're like, we have to do this. So I think that it'll get to the point where maybe you're right. Maybe the government will institute a CBDC. Maybe that's like the fiat that they'll do, is they'll do some CBDC instead of the dollar. And so, but something will happen where people will stop. Like if that happens, people will stop using the dollar, in my opinion.
I mean, it's
I don't know if
interesting because yeah, there's supposed to be a CBDC that, or like, I don't know if they're beta testing it or they're actually launching it, but something's supposed to come out in July, which is at the end of
those 3 months.
Yeah, those 3 months, which is interesting. What I see the government doing is just like, okay, you trade
in 90
your
days,
trash
basically.
dollars. Yeah, you trade in your trash dollars for these new dollars, and then you'll get like a 15% or whatever annual yield or something off these CBDC dollars or something like that.
Or UBI.
That's the only.
They'll give
Yeah,
it a UBI.
they'd implement it right away. They'd be like, oh, you get UBI, like you don't need to worry about Bitcoin. Like, don't pay attention to those guys.
Yeah.
Here's free money. So I mean, it could go either way, but I feel like a lot of people rely so much on the dollar that they're not going to give it up within their lifetime. Maybe their kids will. I mean, I see it more happening with the kids, but the parents, nah, not so much. They're like, because a lot of them are either getting ready to retire. They don't want to they don't want to switch things up if they're already in that mindset of like, I'm going to retire and I'm going to have a pension, even though that's a complete lie. They're probably not going to have a pension.
What's scarier? What's scarier at this point, right? I think about my parents. 2008, that threw them back for a while. So you think about like 2008, and you think, okay, that could happen in the next year or two for people who are retiring. What's scarier is thinking, oh, my pension's gonna get cut in half or gonna get cut in a third, down to 33%, or that I have to learn this whole new financial system called Bitcoin. Like, I don't even know what is scarier. Right? Like,
yeah,
like,
from their perspective, it's like, yeah, they might just be too scared to do anything. They'll just do what they're told.
Yeah.
Like how the last 3 years were. So I hope that doesn't happen, but I feel like that's the most likely outcome with people from their previous actions, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
No, I think I agree with you on that point. I agree with you there. And because I agree with you, that means that we're right.
Everyone on this panel is right. Everyone who's watching is wrong. I don't know what they're wrong about, but they're wrong.
We're all wrong on something.
Yeah.
Even Lynn Alden called the bank stocks we're going to be doing good for the next like 5 years or something.
Oh, I missed that. Ugh.
Yeah.
She called that in December last year.
Yeah, she was like, this is my most boring take, is that bank stocks are going to be doing really good. Oof.
This is why we don't Bitcoin.
You can't get them all right. She gets a lot of them right, but you can't get them all right.
Yeah.
So it goes.
She's definitely like one of my most trusted sources of information generally, but yeah, nobody gets them all right.
All right, man. Well, this has been a fun conversation. It's almost midnight here in Madrid, so I think I might have to head on out. But Marcus, any final words?
Yeah, I'm thinking, didn't we miss like 2 questions?
Nope, those questions, we're gonna have to get Dennis back on a later date and we'll ask him some more questions.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah, I'd be
All right.
down.
Yeah,
Actually,
well
okay,
then,
let's do
any
it. Let's
last
do it. Let's
words?
do it.
Then the only
You want to
thing,
do the
the
last
only
two?
thing I really, oh, are we doing it? Are we doing it?
Let's do it. Let's do them. Let's do them. So we did one of them, which was how do you see hyper Bitcoinization playing out?
Hmm.
Okay, let's do another one. What did you read or listen to that made you finally swallow the orange pill? Like, what was that one thing, or what problem did Bitcoin solve? That's another. What problem did Bitcoin solve, or what did you read or listen to that really made you swallow that orange pill?
It was Creature from Jekyll Island and then 1984, reading it in that order. Because,
That's pretty dystopian stuff you're reading.
yeah, I read both of them at the same time. And yeah, eventually found I was like in and out of like Bitcoin Meister YouTube videos during that time as well. And a lot of the things he was saying were connecting with what uh Creature from Creature from Jekyll Island were pointing out, and what 1984 was pointing out of how they're going to basically just change the definition of everything and basically restrict all of your movement. And then eventually we had, COVID and lockdowns and all that nonsense. Yeah, those two books. I think those are the only two books you need to read. And then just watch trusted Bitcoiners on YouTube, like the Meme Factory. That's really it. That's all you need.
What happened to what about your show? You still doing that?
So with that, I got sick and then I lost momentum, and then I was basically just focusing on mining more fiat so I could buy more Bitcoin.
Sounds like
So that's kind of what happened with that.
sounds like an excuse, dude. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
Get back to
So
it. We need more YouTube. We need more YouTube content that's Bitcoin only.
I guess so. Yeah. Um, yeah, I kind of just got hung up with a bunch of things, but maybe we'll see.
You got a girlfriend. That's what happened. This dude got a girlfriend. Marcus,
No
Dennis got a
comment.
girlfriend.
I would never replace Bitcoin with a girlfriend. Never.
Hey, all right. She better get in line.
Actually,
No,
maybe Dennis can give you some tips, Sean. Oh,
no,
get
honestly,
quiet.
there's no rush. There's no rush to get a girlfriend. No, I don't think you need to rush any of that.
Low time preference.
Yeah, honestly, like, don't you want to be like the best version of yourself by the time you find that girlfriend anyway? So
Okay, Andrew Tate. We got Andrew Tate here. Yes, I do want to be the best version of me, because if you're not the best version of yourself and you get with a girl, then you're settling, right? At that point. I don't know. That's what it seems like.
I mean,
I
it's
didn't even. Yeah,
I don't
go
know.
ahead.
But
Yeah, it
you seem
wouldn't
to
be
be a
like,
pretty good version of yourself. You just ran a half marathon in an hour and a half. You know a lot about Bitcoin. You self custody. What more are you trying to do? Yeah, I don't really know what more you're trying to like. It's not like being the best version of yourself, in my opinion, isn't the destination. It's a journey of continually every day you're doing what you should be doing. So like,
yeah,
not
I agree with
fat,
that.
you're in good shape, you know. You keep you travel, you're well traveled.
I
Yeah, I
guess it
mean,
also allows you to do it, right? I mean, if you have
You're
Bitcoin and
58K.
you
yeah,
believe,
yeah,
oh, sorry,
yeah.
Sorry,
That's
Marcus.
okay. Go ahead, Marcus.
there might be a lag on my side. I'm not sure. Sorry
No.
to cut right through you guys like that. But no, what I was saying is when you have Bitcoin and you believe, you have faith in Bitcoin and that it's going to adopt further and it's going to go, it's going to raise in price, then it makes you think about, hey, like maybe now I have a pension, right? Maybe now I have like financial security in the future, so you can actually start thinking about stuff like, let me take care of my body as well, and let me do some traveling and stuff I love. Because if you're money is constantly being debased, you're only worrying the whole time about how can I get a second job? How can I make sure that you're gonna put your health and that other stuff on the back burner because you have to take care of that first need, right? Of that security first. So I really believe that Bitcoin does improve people's lives in that way because it gives people some air to breathe and to think about, what yeah, I don't know. It's that Maslow pyramid of needs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah. But I
Yeah.
would say, like, I would say also you have to have some faith too, whether that's faith in God, faith in yourself, that you are going to be able to make more money, that you are going to be able to figure it out. Like, you
Oh
don't
yeah.
have to have, in my opinion, you don't have to have a full retirement ready before you start dating a girl, like
Yeah.
you are
No, I
gonna be
agree with
able
that.
to
Yeah.
you are gonna be able to continue to work, you're gonna be able to
Right.
figure things out, like you're gonna be able to get there. And so you don't gotta have the Lambos before you just start dating a girl, in my opinion. Because
I
if
agree with
that's what
that.
she's there for, like,
Yeah.
dude, she's only there for the Lambo. She's not there for the real me, anyway. Like, so I don't know.
I agree with
This
that.
Yeah, I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. It's also fun to if you can find a girl and you can go through that journey together, then it's a lot more. I don't know. I guess it has its benefits as well, like you said.
at this point, me and Dennis will be orange pilling whoever we meet, more than likely.
And
We
there,
need more. We
I
need,
don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I
yeah.
don't really get the whole like, oh, if my future girlfriend is not orange pilled, I don't want to date her. I'm like, what do
Who
you
do
have
you?
like three
I
options,
know.
and they're all on Twitter, and everyone's trying to get in their DMs. Like, what, be realistic, guys. Come
Hey,
on.
I'll tell you this: there's a lot more than three on there, but they're hiding
Nims.
Yeah.
behind like avatars, and they're not. I know a couple that literally a lot of people think that they're guys, and they want to keep it that way.
You know what? We need more women in Bitcoin. So how about that? That's purely selfish. Purely selfish. I'm not even being PC. This is just me being selfish.
The incentive
Okay.
is there, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I want more women at the having party. That's what I want.
Okay. All right.
Okay, last question. So we've talked this whole show about, like, how, Bitcoin's an obvious choice. It's gonna win, all this stuff. But what if it doesn't? Let's be rational, right? We are human. Nothing's perfect. What do you see as Bitcoin's biggest threat?
I mean, I don't know. I guess it would be like each individual Bitcoiner. That'd be the biggest threat because if they're not storing their funds properly, yeah, then technically you don't have access to anything. So it goes to zero for you.
Yeah,
So that'd be the biggest threat to Bitcoin. If everyone just started losing their keys or whatever.
that's the self custody. So Bitcoiners not self custodying is the biggest threat. I think it's actually a really good point, honestly, because then it's like that's the whole third party risk that we
Mm,
were talking about earlier. Like, if you don't self custody, it's not Bitcoin.
So it's
yeah,
not Operation Choke Point.
yeah,
No, I wouldn't say Operation Choke Point's a big deal, honestly.
yeah. I don't. I mean, that's why we're in Bitcoin, so we can, because we're not affected by stuff like that. It's like, okay, you can have all these rules. I'm just gonna go to another country. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yes,
I guess it's kind of like your dad, right? If they cut off the on ramps, then you just go to peer, right? You just
peer to
like
peer.
find a Bitcoiner and let me
Hmm.
buy some Bitcoin off of you.
Yeah, and his dad was
Here's some
doing that
dirty
in
fiat.
paper currency. His
Yeah.
dad was doing that in
Yeah.
paper currency. Like, how easy is it to do in digital currency? Like, come on.
Hmm. Yeah, they're
It's
doing it in Nigeria right now. Like everyone's just trading Bitcoin between each other, even though the government's like, you can't
Yeah.
do that.
Isn't there like some crazy premium in Nigeria now? Like if you travel there with your Bitcoin, you can like sell it for like 30% premium.
Yeah, you gotta figure out some arbitrage in Nigeria. Why are we
Yeah.
Because
arbing that trade right now?
It's 58K in Nigeria,
because
man. You just
What
gotta
are
go
we
over
doing?
yeah.
there.
Yeah, you just got to go there and then fly back with like a shitload of cash in your suitcase. And good luck with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Okay, well, it's been great. Dennis, always a pleasure to talk to you. I wish we could talk to you more, but we know you're busy and we know that, every time we see each other, it's always gonna be a blast.
mm,
Definitely come to the having party, dude. It's gonna be in El
yeah,
Salvador. It's gonna be the first week of April 2024. It's not in El Zonde, it's not in San Salvador. We're gonna announce in April of this year, 2023, where it's gonna be. So come to the having party, dude. Let people
okay,
know, give them a handoff where they can find you and what you're working on.
for sure. You can follow me on Twitter. What is it? Satoshi Deniz or something like that. And yeah, read the BTC Times. You can follow them at BTC on Twitter also.
Awesome.
But yeah. Oh, and
Just at
Noster too,
BTC.
guys. Get on Noster.
No,
Noster, right?
sir.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, get
sir
on
is the
that.
way.
I would read you my NPub, but it's too many letters. I don't know. Just
You don't want to
search
be
Deniz 58K.
you don't want to be as autistic as Labra, is what you're saying.
Did he read it out?
Yeah, on the last
Oh
meme
yeah.
factory stream, he's like
Nice.
he read out the pie number and then his info.
Of course, live yeah.
Yes. All right. Marcus, any final
Yeah.
words?
Nah, man. Thanks for coming on, taking the time. Appreciate it, and enjoy talking to you, man. And look forward to all the memes and the shit posting going on Twitter. It's a good signal.
Same man. Yeah, thanks for the invite, guys.
Okay,
It's fun.
thanks. And for everyone listening in, remember what you see here, what you hear here, when you leave here, don't just let it stay here. Please share, like, subscribe to the Bitcoiners Guide, and remember every Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we go live with the Meme Factory. And as for Bitcoiners Guide, episode 48 from Dennis, 58K, from Plain, Marcus, and Big Sean, we're over and out. Peace.